Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. We're going to get started in just 2 minutes. We're going to give time for more folks to join. We still have a few people joining, but we're going to get started here in just a minute. I'll go ahead and tell you now that this is being recorded. And we'll get started in just a second. We will be sending out the recording and slides after the webinar. So we really thank everyone for joining. Okay, I think we've had everybody's here now. My name is Laura Flowers. I'm the marketing manager at OHD, and I'm so appreciative of y'all for joining us for our Inside AeroFit webinar. Before I pass this over to our panel, I just want to do some quick housekeeping. So we invite and welcome your questions. You can put those questions in the Q&A, and we will get to those throughout the webinar and at the end. One more thing, in case you didn't hear me when you came in, we will have a recording of the webinar and slides afterwards for you to see, and for any of our friends who did not get to join us today. Now I'm going to turn it over to our Technical Applications and Partnerships Director, Dylan Stack, to get us started.
Good morning to some of you, good afternoon to others. Really excited to get to talk to everybody today. Really want to welcome everybody to AeroFit and to our informational webinar, just to be able to talk to you a little bit, explain why we feel AeroFit is unique to the market, what we've done differently, how we got to where we are with AeroFit. So I'm going to actually kick it right back over to Laura. Laura's going to do a quick introduction. And then we're going to get a little poll for everybody to see how everybody's fit testing, what you're fit testing, and then we'll jump into kind of the backstory of how we got to AeroFit.
Yeah, so today we have three members of our team here. These are our subject matter experts on staff. They lead our product at OHD. So we've got Dylan Stack. He's our Technical Applications and Partnership Director. He's been with us, Dylan, about almost 2 years.
Almost
Is
2
that
years.
right? Awesome.
Yeah.
And then we have Dr. Stephanie Lynch. She is our Senior Technology and Research Manager. She is probably, I would say, leading expert in controlled negative pressure technology. Our QuantiFit 2 has controlled negative pressure technology. We'll talk more about QuantiFit 2 and AeroFit later. And then Dr. Tim Gordon, he's our Director of Aerosol Research and Development. We brought Dr. Tim Gordon on as we were wanting to make the AeroFit. We decided to hire an aerosol expert, and that was Dr. Gordon. So we're really excited to have him on board, and he was instrumental in the creation of the AeroFit. So we're excited to hear from him. Now we're going to go into a quick poll, and we'd love to know what you primarily fit test. So I'm going to have this up for about 30 seconds, but if everybody wouldn't mind answering this, we just want to see what you guys are fit testing right now, whether you're just testing disposables, just testing elastomerics, or maybe a mix, or maybe you're not testing yet and you would like to. So getting a lot of answers in the poll, really excited about that. Thank you for participating. I'm just going to keep it up for another about 10-20 seconds.
I was going to say, when you're introducing us, it's a good thing that we don't all have really long titles.
I know. You guys have the longest titles at OHD, so.
Yeah, it's directly proportional to your value in the no.
Oh, this is great. Hey, thanks for everyone for responding to the poll. This is really cool. We have about 37% who are testing both disposable and elastomeric. We have about 28% just testing disposable and 19% just testing elastomeric. And then we have 17% who are not currently fit testing. So thank you for joining and learning more. I'm going to share the results here just so you can see it, but that's pretty cool to see. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Dylan, and he's going to talk to you about AeroFit.
Great. So I'm going to run with the ball for a little bit. I did want to make mention, I look at that number of 17% that are not currently fit testing. Laura had mentioned Dr. Lynch as an expert in CNP fit testing, and I really want to kind of bring light to how unique OHD is. Not only do we have Dr. Gordon, who's a PhD in aerosol scientist, not only do we have Dr. Lynch, who's great at CNP fit testing, but actually, Dr. Lynch serves on multiple regulatory bodies across the world and is a leader in the industry. I know she's very humble about it. She's a leader in the industry in fit testing regulation. So when we went and created AeroFit, sorry. When we went and created AeroFit, we had to figure out exactly why we were creating AeroFit and how we were going to do this. And so people have asked us, why did you guys do this? Why did you already were doing so well with CNP fit testing? Why did you go and create the AeroFit? And it's a pretty simple answer, and that is that while we were a leader in the global fit test market with our patented CNP technology, we didn't have a viable solution for filtering face piece respirators. I'm going to refer to filtering face piece respirators as N95s for the rest of this webinar, but understand that that could be an N99, that can be a P100. There are different levels of filtering efficiency for those. For ease of the conversation, I'm going to refer to them as N95s. So we needed to go and figure out a way so that we could quantitatively fit test N95s. There is only one OSHA or ISRP, or I'm sorry, ISO approved standard for quantitatively fit testing N95s, and that is using CNC fit test technology. Condensation nuclei counting is what CNC stands for. To do that, we had to go and figure out how we were going to create that machine. This was not something that we were bringing to the table as a new technology. This was existing technology, traditional technology, that we said we're going to go and we're going to manufacture our own. To do that, the first thing we did was we went and hired a leading aerosol scientist in Dr. Tim Gordon. The next thing we did was we created an engineering and manufacturing process. So we had strategic partnerships already because of our CNP technology. We were able to parlay those into really strong manufacturing and engineering processes to be able to move forward with AeroFit. And then the last thing we did was we said, what do we already do well? We already do the QuantiFit 2 really well. We already had a great user interface. We already felt like we were taking large parts of the market share because people really preferred not just the technology, but the package in which we delivered it. So we said, we're going to take that great package that we already have, and we're going to deliver it in the CNC technology so that our current QuantiFit 2 users can also translate right over to this AeroFit or pair this with a QuantiFit 2 and be able to use the two simultaneously without any issues with the user interface. Okay, so as I said, first thing we did was we went and hired Dr. Tim Gordon. Is this still showing there? Hired Dr. Tim Gordon. Dr. Gordon runs our aerosol research lab in Boulder, Colorado. I'm not going to read through his entire resume. It would take a long time. Even this little one kind of gives you a understanding of who Dr. Gordon is, where he's come from, and why he was so coveted by OHD. This was a great partnership for us, and we wouldn't be here today where we are with AeroFit without him. With that, I am going to actually kick it over to Dr. Gordon and let him kind of talk about the schematics of the AeroFit, how it works, and then he's got a little bit more on how the condensation nuclide counting occurs at the laser. Go ahead, Dr. Gordon.
Great. Great to be here today with you guys, and happy to share a couple words from kind of the sciencey end of things. So as has already been said, really our kind of big goal with the AeroFit was to develop kind of the best-in-class CNC-based fit tester to complement the QuantiFit 2, so that we have both of those technologies to offer to customers depending on their needs. And as we kind of launched into the design of the AeroFit, there were two main things that we guided our work, I guess you could say. It was really just measurement accuracy and having the best user experience possible. Those were kind of the top priorities. And I just thought I'd spend a minute going over the CNC, kind of the technology and just a tiny bit of detail, and then sharing kind of a fun slide with you after this one as well. So the AeroFit, as Dylan shared, does use an industry standard technology, which is the condensation nuclei counting, CNC, or as some people know, APC technology. And that's kind of illustrated in the graphic of this slide. And the essence here is that airborne particles are sampled from either inside or outside the respirator. The particles then go, along with alcohol vapor from the isopropyl soaked wick, they go into the condenser section, which then causes the vapor to deposit on the particles, enlarging them so that they are large enough to scatter laser light that can be detected and then counted. So each particle passes through the laser, scatters light, and is counted. And then the AeroFit calculates the fit factor simply as a ratio of the ambient and respirator concentrations after sampling from both inside and outside the mask, as I said. So that's sort of the very simple high-level view of how the CNC works. And if you'll go to the next slide, kind of for the maybe geekier folks in the audience, I thought I'd throw this one in. This is kind of a fun, to me at least, fun behind the scenes look at the very earliest prototype of the CNC that I was showing the cartoon of in the previous slide. This version, of course, doesn't look anything like what is actually in the AeroFit that you would buy, but I love it because this picture, if you look really closely in that circled area that I've highlighted with the magic, that little red dot in there is the magic. That is the particles that are passing through the laser beam and scattering the laser light, which is why they show up as red. And this is a cool image, I think, too, and ultimately is what inspired our logo that I've also captured up there in the upper right of this slide. You know, this image with the particles illuminated is what we're trying to depict by that dot above the eye in our logo. So yeah, that's kind of the stuff on the CNC. I just will throw in at the end also want to highlight that another important and cool feature of the AeroFit is it's completely silent. In fact, some of you, if when you get a chance to use it, if you haven't used it yet, you may initially even wonder if it's on, but I'll assure you, as the person who designed it, that if it has power and you can read the front panel display, you know, you're ready to roll. There are other features that I think maybe Dylan or Dr. Lynch will discuss, particle generation management and an awesome, you know, user interface. But yeah, I'll stop there and let them talk about that stuff.
Thanks, Dr. Gordon. So yeah, I'm gonna advance from here and kind of talk about the use case, talk about some of the cool features, talk about our software and the different ways that you can use the instrument in a few different platforms. We're gonna start with the fact that with AeroFit and CNC fit testing, we can fit test all respirators. We can fit test both elastomeric, so full face and half face elastomeric rubber seal respirators, or we can fit test filtering face piece N95 respirators. We're able to do this because this is an OSHA approved method for all of those respirators. Again, not because we reinvented the wheel, but because we took a really great technology and then we added some things to it. And here's some things that we added. Number one is we added our industry leading user interface. We feel that our interface makes it easy to perform a fit test, not just for the fit test subject, but for the fit test administrator. And that is something that as we go through this presentation, I really want to hit on is that when we set out, before I was even with OHD, when OHD set out on the QuantiFit 2, they created an instrument that was easy for the administrator to go execute a fit test. They did that by really having a great understanding of the regulation and being able to go and apply different metrics, apply different standards, and apply different checks and balances for the administrator so that the machine would automatically execute the next step. We did the same with AeroFit. Another kind of interesting and cool feature is that we have virtually unlimited onboard data storage. So we said people need to be able to fit test in standalone. We don't want them having to swap thumb drives all the time and losing files here or there. You can execute over 100,000 fit test operations on the AeroFit and still have plenty of data storage available. We already had a really great built-in respirator selection list. So we had a preloaded list of respirators. You could go in and toggle them on or off. We went and did the exact same thing with N95s and other filtering face piece respirators. So when you get your AeroFit, all you have to do is open up our respirator list, go through and toggle on or off the different respirators that you are going to be fit testing. You'll see all the specs on that respirator and also a picture to validate that you're using the correct one. The next one is the one that I think I personally take a lot of pride in because I helped design this. It's the daily verification guidance. So daily verification on a CNC fit test machine can be tricky, especially if you're doing both filtering face piece or N95s and elastomeric respirators, because there are two different technology methods for counting those particles. You have to validate both of those. In competing fit test instruments, the fit test administrator had to understand what technology they were using, had to understand kind of the schematics of that, had to check the correct boxes, and then had to go through and complete two separate daily verifications. With our machine, all you have to do is tell us what respirators you are planning on testing that day, what types. We will then go and automatically execute the proper daily verification and walk you through each step so that all you have to do is connect the tube to the correct ports. We talked about, I just said connect the tube to the correct port. So one of the other things that we included is a built-in zero port. Anybody that has been conducting CNC fit testing has had to carry around small plastic zero filters. They're super effective and they work well, but the issue with them is they crack or they get lost. And then you get on site or you go to execute a day of fit testing and you can't do a daily verification because you don't have a zero filter and because you have to order one. We have taken that away from your hand and put it inside the unit. So that zero filter is built into the unit, and all you have to do is attach the clear line to the built-in zero filter to be able to get a zero check on your instrument. Dr. Gordon alluded to this next point, the silent operation. So a silent operation for us was something that we kind of stumbled on a little bit later in the process, and we pivoted to because we felt that this was a huge value add to the user. Gone are the days of sitting in a small room with a fit test machine and hearing that buzz all day long right next to you. You can be in the room next to your AeroFit for 8, 10, 12 hours and never hear it do anything besides maybe kick on the particle generator. It's a really, really nice feature. It also helps if in use cases where you have multiple units in the same room and that noise does not start to compound on itself. You can talk to the fit test subject, you can talk to other colleagues, you can have a phone call rather than have that noise in the background. Some of the things that we kept from QuantiFit 2 is an interactive color touchscreen. So we already had an interactive color touchscreen on QuantiFit 2. I'm going to show it to you here in just a second. That color touchscreen translated perfectly over to AeroFit. It gives you written and visual instructions along with progress of where you are on the fit test. Makes it very easy to navigate to any of the screens necessary to perform the fit test. Optional battery. So we take a lot of pride in the fact that we can actually slap a battery in the back of either our QuantiFit 2 or AeroFit and be able to take that unit out remotely to a work site, be able to execute fit tests at a high level for a defined period of time. And then fast, efficient fit testing. We adhere to all the protocols, OSHA, ISO protocols. So we are cutting edge and going just as fast as any other fit test machine on the market, CNC fit test machine on the market. So the key differentiators that we have, number one is we've talked about this intuitive user interface. What we really wanted to create, again, was something where a user could take this, get a little bit of training on it, fit test with it, set it down for 2 weeks and come back and be able to fit test again without having to go through that training again. And so when we open up, when your AeroFit turns on, it automatically walks you through the daily verification. So if you've forgotten how to do any of it, you're directed in the proper manner to be able to execute an effective daily verification. And once you move into fit testing, everything is set up and your respirator list is preloaded for you. And kind of a cool thing that we brought over from QuantiFit 2 is our signature capture. So after a fit test administrator has set up have done their daily checks, and they're going to move into fit testing for the day, they can actually create a signature. The signature signs every fit test report that comes out. And at the end of every fit test, there's an option for the fit test subject to sign as well. So the report ends up with a test administrator subject and a test administrator signature and test subject signature. And lastly, the user interface allows you to connect your AeroFit directly to a printer and print those reports directly, rather than, again, take those, put them on a thumb drive, put them to a computer and print, or have to be connected to a computer to then print those reports as you go. The next thing, which we haven't talked a whole lot about and something that we're real excited about, is particle generation management. So particle generation management was something that was brought up because within CNC fit testing, we've expressed the need for particles. The fact of the matter is particles are hard to maintain in buildings, especially with buildings that have HEPA filtration units and they're HVAC. We're constantly removing those particles. One of the Achilles heels of CNC fit testing is that you had to have a particle generator and you had to know, did I have enough particles? Do I have too many particles? When do I turn it on? When do I turn it off? Is the room too big? All of these things. And the goal was always to create a fit test environment within the room. So you were using a big room or a small room rather than a big room and trying to create a uniform environment. We decided that we were not going to take the approach of trying to create a whole room environment that was uniform in particles. That really where we needed a uniform particle concentration was in the test zone, right in the test zone of the fit test subject. With particle generation management, we've hooked our particle generator up to our machine, and our generator communicates with our machine. It is designed to turn on and off at on a sequence that we've created. We've gone through and tested and made sure that we have the ideal fit test environment at that timing sequence. So at different parts of the fit test it's on, at different parts of the rest cycle it's off. You're not just blowing particles the entire time and flooding the environment, potentially harming your instrument. You're only creating particles when you need them in the fit test and at small intervals in the rest period to help maintain that environment. And the last one that we talked about is silent operation. We feel that this is a game changer in the industry. This allows you to fit test for multiple hours, to not have that background noise, to still be able to execute all your other tasks throughout the day without having any interruptions or new annoyances. So when we look at the user interface, this is what it looks like. These are actually two screenshots of the screen of the AeroFit. The first one is what it looks like when you are actually fit testing. So you'll see written instructions on the left, clearly defined written instructions that that mirror what is called out in the standard. So Dr. Lynch went through and looked at the standard and made sure that our verbiage met what the standard was asking, and that it was easy for the fit test subject to comprehend while they were doing it.
Can I
The next
point out
part,
that it's funny you would say that because I do see an error on that screen now.
probably, probably. Um, the next thing that we have is a visual instruction. So we had an avatar already. We created a few more avatars for the different industries. You'll see that this avatar is actually wearing an N95. We have an elastomeric and an N95 donning avatar. It goes through and does the exercise at the sequence called out in the standard. You'll see that there are different steps here on the right. So we call this kind of our progress bar. On the right, you can see what your fit factor was for each step. You can see where whether you're passing or failing, or kind of right in the middle there, the fit factor for the entire fit test. When we also display the ambient and mask sample concentrations. If you look to the right, you'll see what it looks like when you turn your AeroFit on. These are the 5 tiles that are on there, and people test, fit mode, reports, daily verification. So we have written and visual instruction there, or navigation. Makes it super simple. If you were to look at a QuantiFit 2, or if you're used to looking at a QuantiFit 2, you're going to turn this on and you're going to notice that it's very similar to that. It's not identical because there's a little bit of difference in the technology, but it's very similar. And if you can navigate one, you can navigate the other. Another thing that I really like about what we do is if you ever did have an issue with your AeroFit and you had to call tech support, on the bottom there, you can see bottom left, it's clearly identified what the serial number is. Sometimes trying to find serial numbers on units and things like that is difficult. We've made it so that the user has all the information that they need to be able to go and fit test or get help whenever necessary. The second part of that is the annual calibration. Every time you turn on your unit, you know when your calibration is due. If you know that you have a calibration date coming up in a month, month and a half, it gives you time to reach out to us to start that process before. Obviously, once you're past your calibration date, we start notifying you of that as well. So we've talked a little bit about particle generation management, and I really loved this picture and wanted to show this picture because it shows that we're creating that test environment close to the instrument. So other fit test machines ask you to put that particle generator at a minimum of 10 feet away and create this huge environment of particles. What that really does is makes it so that when you're not fit testing, you're taking a lot of particles into that unit that you don't actually need to. That causes clogs that require you to then send your unit in for cleaning, maybe on a basis on a schedule that is faster than your annual calibration comes up. With our unit, we're able to put that particle generator right next to the unit. We're able to create that environment right in the breathing zone of the fit test subject. And the way that we achieve that is instead of just pounding that environment with particles the entire time, we have that design sequence where we're producing particles, and then when we don't need them, where it shuts off and stops. So daily verification, we talked about the industry-leading interface on our daily verification. We have that zero check, that HEPA zero port right on the front there. I talked about it. Now you can see it. That clear line is attached to it up to the right of the wick there. That has completely replaced the need for an external HEPA filter. It's one less thing you have to worry about losing, breaking, buying again. Every time that your unit comes back for calibration, we get this question a lot. Every time your unit comes back for calibration, we're going to check that HEPA filter to make sure it's good. If it needs to be replaced, we're going to do a swap of that filter. You're never going to know that it happens. It's just something that we're going to do with our checks and balances. Competing units require you to carry them around. A lot of times users will like duct tape them to the side of the unit or something like that. With us, it's all internal. Deployment methods. This is where we really stand out from anybody else. So our deployment methods, we have 3 deployment methods that are all pretty much equal with the exception of the last one. So the first 2, standalone and PC software. These 2 deployment methods are almost equal to one another. In standalone mode, you can run all your fit testing without ever connecting to a computer. All your data is saved on there. You can print reports directly from there. There's the built-in screen so the fit test subject can follow along on instructions the entire time. It's a really, really simple, easy to use user interface method. The next part is if you have multiple machines or you want to take all that data from your unit, you can bring it to your PC software. You can, number one, you can run a fit test from your PC software. So if traditionally you've connected your PC to your fit test machine, and that's just how you like to do it, you can connect your PC to our fit test machine. Everything that happens on the screen for the fit test subject still occurs, and they still get to see how to walk through the exercises. And now all that data is pushed to your PC software. It's called Logic PC. If you fit test in standalone and then connect to Logic PC, all you have to do is run a sync, and all the data from your AeroFit is then pushed into that Logic PC software. It's a really simple platform. It's a software that once you get used to it, allows you to manage your data really well, and the ability to sync directly from the machine instead of having to use a thumb drive makes it so there's one less step for you, one less thing to get wrong, one less thing to lose. It's a really nice, easy, seamless process. The next part is Logic Cloud. So Logic Cloud is something that we launched about 6 months ago. Is that right, Laura? Yeah, Logic Cloud is something we launched 6 months ago. It's an enhancement of our Logic PC. With Logic Cloud, there's really 3 things that it does really, really well. Number one is you can connect both your QuantiFit 2 or your AeroFit or both simultaneously to your Logic Cloud software. When you do this, the first thing it does is it allows you to streamline your compliance tracking. So it allows you to go back and generate reports and things like that to see who's coming due for fit tests, who's not, who maybe is no longer with the company. Maybe if somebody has had a change in the physical structure of their face, it allows you to go through and look at that and track some of these things. It also gives you reporting tools. So when you see here, we say compliant, you can see the screen that says compliance status. You can generate a report from that and send it to different supervisors and whatnot of who's coming due for fit tests, who's compliant, who's not, who's changed size of respirators, so on and so forth. And then the last thing that it really does is it allows you to do automated reminders. So in the event that your company has multiple locations and you have fit test reports coming from everywhere, they can all come to the cloud. And when somebody is due for a fit test, it can shoot reminders to number one, the person, to the supervisor, and 3, the location, so that they can go into those spots and get fit tested in a timely manner. Use cases. This was something that we really took a lot of pride in when we were building this, to say we're not going to build a machine and then figure out where it fits in the market. We're going to figure out what the market needs, and we're going to build a machine that does all of that. So when we thought about N95s and thought about filtering face piece, and we were going to build a CNC fit test machine for those, the major market that comes to mind is hospitals. And we said, what do we need to do to be a fit in this hospital, to make sure that when we go into a hospital setting, we're something different, we're something better than what's out there. And number one is an N95 focused setup. So when you turn on your AeroFit and there's a startup wizard, it's going to ask you what kind of respirators are you fit testing on this machine. If you're only ever going to fit test N95s, we don't want to show you all the stuff for elastomerics because you're never going to use that. If you're only going to fit test elastomerics, same. That said, you can always go back and change it once it's set, but this is just part of the startup wizard that it gives you the initial setup. So we allow for an N95 focused setup that shows you N95s and only goes through N95 protocols. Competing units require you to know whether you're doing N95s or elastomerics, and oftentimes check the correct box so that the correct regulation is executed within the fit test. We talked a lot about the HEPA filtration and our particle generation management. We feel this is differentiator here in hospitals. We're seeing a ton of HEPA filtration. Even since COVID, we've seen hyper HEPA filtration, which is even a higher filtration level. They are doing a lot of air turnover, air exchanges within these rooms. They're trying to filter at a very high level. That's hard when you need particles. We found a system that maintains that particle level for the fit test. And then the last part is we talked about silent operation. When we're fit testing in small areas and we have multiple units or even a single unit going all day, having a silent operation is just a more enjoyable experience. That's all there is to it. Those were all things that we took into account when we were developing a fit test machine for hospitals. When we looked for OC health clinics, we said we're going to be doing elastomerics and N95s. We need something that allows you to easily transition to the two different types of respirators. So the best way to do that is to create a respirator list that everyone chooses from. Once those respirators are selected, it auto selects the correct regulation. When we go back to one of the first things I said, that when we designed this machine, we designed it with the fit test administrator in mind. We don't want you having to go back and remember which regulation on which respirator and is this a full or half. Once it's selected in the unit, our unit takes and runs through every single part of the regulation necessary to execute a proper fit test. The other thing in Ahmed clinics, oftentimes we're in situations where I've seen as many as 15 fit test machines in one room. That starts to become a lot when there's ambient noise continually getting added to it. That silent operation makes this a very easy deployment in that setting. And then mixed use. We really take a lot of pride, and we said when we were going to develop this that we were going to have a fit test machine that paired well with QuantiFit 2, didn't compete with QuantiFit 2. So our fit test machines, both the AeroFit and QuantiFit 2, both connect to Logic PC software and Logic Cloud software. You can fit test with both machines simultaneously, different technologies, different respirators, and they will save to the same databases. So you can merge from these databases. Also, if you just have multiple AeroFits, you can do the same with those multiple AeroFits. It's just, for us, it was important to create a unit that already that coexisted with what we already had. The other thing is we talk about site-specific flexibility. So within, if you move into that Logic Cloud software, you can set parameters and respirators for each site, depending, if you have a site in Omaha and a site in Simi Valley, California, and they are using different respirators. Each one of those instruments can have just different respirators set up on them and still save to that same database. A comparison chart for competitors. We just kind of went through and did this real quickly to show what we have and what others don't. The three that we've hit on a bunch right there. Consumable free fit testing, we don't have that yet. And that's something that's going to be very difficult in the N95 fit testing arena, right? Because we punch a hole in a respirator, we have push nuts and probes and all that stuff. So just like anybody else, as I mentioned, we didn't reinvent the wheel. We took some of the existing technology and ran with it. So we do still have those. We do have the color touchscreen. Others either require a tablet or they don't have a color touchscreen. We have the preloaded respirator list that nobody else has. Our fit test time is exactly the same as anybody else because the time is not dictated by the manufacturer. Time is dictated by the regulatory body, right? And so we went and used those regulatory body standards to build our fit tests. Battery power, cloud-based software, huge differentiators for us. And then the last one, which kind of leans into this entire webinar and the title here of the Breathe Easy webinar, is that we are the only manufacturer that has both OSHA or ISO approved technologies for fit testing. Anytime you need you have fit testing needs, you can rely on OHD. I'm going to kick this over for the last part to Dr. Stephanie Lynch to touch base on some of the regulatory stuff. And I just want to tell everybody I really appreciate your time. I look forward to your questions and to working with anybody that has questions in the future.
So saving the best for last, of course. But I did want to point out, Dylan, if you go really quickly just back to that last slide, that's one thing that's important to look at with that fit testing time. That's obviously related to some of the other protocols outside of OSHA. We obviously do have the OSHA fast fit protocols putting us at 2 minutes and 29 seconds for test time, and just the same as any other CNC machine. Laura, I didn't want to get ahead, but I did see that there was a question already about regulatory stuff. But yeah, I'll just wait till we get to questions. But okay, next slide, Dylan.
I'd love for you to answer that one. That was one I was going to send to you. So Giannis asks, Could you share how AeroFit's compliance under OSHA 1910.134 Appendix A is documented and defensible during regulatory audits?
So that's one, I kind of want to take one step back too. So I'm not sure if we actually explicitly stated it, but so OHD has, CMP technology, and the biggest limitation of CMP technology is that it cannot test the filtering facepiece respirators, right? So OHD really wanted to test filtering facepiece respirators. And when you look at regulatory things, the easiest way to do that is to pick a technology that's already approved and move forward, right? So we decided to go with CNC approved technology. So the way that AeroFit is compliant is that it is already OSHA's approved CNC technology. It just like any of our other competitors in this field. So that's documented within Appendix A that CNC is approved for respirator fit testing. And it's labeled as CNC respirator fit testing under the quantitative methods. And that's where AeroFit falls. So talking about maintaining the accuracy of particle counts, that was a sort of second part of this question. So second, in our experience, how does AeroFit maintain accuracy in low particle or high filtration environments? Dylan really talked about that with our particle generation management, but that was a big focus of particle generation management, right? We wanted the particle generator, which another part of this question is, do you recommend additional controls like a particle generator? Yes. Every AeroFit is going to ship with a particle generator, and we're going to utilize particle generation management, which is, it's hooked up to the machine. It is responding to the machine in sequence to make sure that you are getting enough particles in those low particle environments, particularly places like hospitals where they're going to have that HEPA filtration, right? Or the places where we're just getting better ventilation generally, because maybe you were being responsive to concerns like COVID, whatever. So yeah, we really put a lot of emphasis on particle generation because we knew that was a real hang up for CNC technology. So in the interest of full disclosure, I love CNP, right? I did my master's thesis on CNP 20-ish years ago. And I am still a little biased, but I've learned a whole lot about, and I honestly have a newfound respect for CNC technology through this development process. And I really believe that this now positions OHD and me personally well to be fit test experts in this market for our customers. And again, for me personally, as I go participate in regulatory development side of things, previously, maybe I didn't have I did a lot of testing with CNC a long time ago, but maybe I didn't have the best foundational knowledge to contribute meaningfully to the development of CNC protocols, right? And now I feel almost as confident in my CNC knowledge. Dr. Gordon has made me question myself a couple of times.
I was just going to say, as the aerosol scientist, I have not bribed her in any way to make the following statement.
Yeah, he did give us a test that I'm actually almost a little proud to say I think I failed. No, I really have learned a lot, and I think it's helped me with my ability to really speak more meaningfully about, promoting fit testing more generally and not feeling so, into my little CMP box. So super happy about that, and always want to be better for our customers and help get fit testing just more broadly used. This has been my goal as an industrial hygienist for a long time in this respiratory protection space, to just help this be more accessible to people globally. So I hope that we're moving in that direction with OHD being able to offer both these technologies. Okay, next slide, Dylan. Okay, getting back into where we're going with our with OHD and how we're going to help our customers. You can just kind of click through, Dylan, because I'm just going to talk about it more broadly. I actually just dropped in the chat that I want to get rid of all of these click to progress things in our PowerPoints. But so we want to be able to respond if you are one of our customers and you're fit testing only elastomerics. So if you clicked that at the beginning of this talk, then there's no reason for you to look further than the QuantiFit 2. QuantiFit 2 is going to be fast, efficient. If you haven't tried it before, you're actually going to be amazed. I would challenge anyone who hasn't used CMP to go out and actually use a CMP instrument. Get in touch with me. Come see me at a show. Let me walk you through a test. Just so you can see really how fast and easy it is. If you're doing both, you're going to have options here because, you can use just CNC technology, or if you have a really, big program and there's a lot of testing that you're going to be doing, then it can be worth it for you to have both technologies, CMP and CNC, particularly if you have different environments that you need to test in and a large amount of elastomerics, right? And then if you're doing disposable only, then you're sticking exclusively with the AeroFit. And then if your program changes in the future, you'd be able to easily implement the AeroFit for the use of elastomerics. And that's how we're hoping that we're really serving our customers well and going to be able to get new customers. We want them to be confident in the instrumentation they're using and also be confident that we're able to provide them both the service that they want and the expertise that they need.
Kind of expanding off Dr. Lynch, Find Your Fit is something that we created as we went through this process because, again, we didn't want to compete with the QuantiFit 2. We wanted something that was complementary. We still believe there's a really strong use case for QuantiFit 2. We believe there's a really strong use case for AeroFit. Find Your Fit is a tool that we have that our entire team can help you with. If you call tech support, if you call one of our sales team members and say, hey, I don't really know what I need here, this is what I'm doing. These are the respirators I have. This is how many. We can talk through the whole process with you, make sure that you're making an educated decision so that you understand exactly what system you're purchasing, what the limitations, what the benefits, what all of it are, and that when you're ready to go start fit testing, you have all the knowledge you need to go execute those fit tests.
I see another question. Can I dive into it, Laura? Am I good to go?
Yeah, go ahead. We're about to go into Q&A now.
Perfect. So we got one that says, how does cost per test for AeroFit compare with taste-based methods? And I feel pretty good about diving into that. When you talk about cost, if you're looking at doing qualitative testing, obviously qualitative is going to be much less expensive. But performing a qualitative test does put a lot of onus on the tester, right? And it takes a lot of time. It's a very long test. So when you talk about cost, it's not really just looking at money, right? It's not looking at cost of a qualitative testing kit versus the cost of a quantitative testing kit. If that's where you're at on your cost, then qualitative is less expensive, and that's probably where you're at. But when you're looking at the time it takes to do a test, the literal trouble it takes to do that qualitative test and to perform it correctly. I've seen a lot of very poorly performed qualitative tests. And then you also have to rely on the tester to keep all of that documentation, right? When you move into quantitative, this is where you're really advancing your program to have a lot more efficient testing. It's going to be faster. It's going to be more consistent. You're going to get more consistent testing so that you're being sure that you're challenging that mask the same way, every time with new people coming through and getting a good challenge on that. There is an issue with the qualitative where they are subject to cheating, and I don't want to say it's not like people are just out there trying to cheat this process to be like bad people. There's a lot of people who want to get back to work and they know the answers they need to give to get back to their jobs. And that's just something that can happen with that. Whereas with quantitative, you're not going to have that issue. Dylan, I'm sure you have comments here too.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. Number one, if you are managing a lot of fit tests and you're doing qualitative fit testing, you're probably managing a spreadsheet. And so you're managing that spreadsheet, you're going through there, you're seeing who's next and who's up and this and that. There's a lot of emailing, there's a lot of time spent in that. So Dr. Lynch hit the nail right on the head. The cost per test of the consumables, sure, it's going to be cheaper qualitatively. But when you start factoring in time, when you start factoring in, health and safety professionals, the world is a different place now than it was 10 years ago for health and safety professionals. We're managing more, or y'all are managing more. You're doing more with less people and less resources. And so the more tools you have to make things easier is going to make it an easier process for you. And allow you to dedicate your time other places. So there's a value that gets put on that as well. and that's a rabbit hole that you can go down for a long way. But yeah, I think that there's a lot there. The last part of it is the integrity of it. Qualitative fit tests are subjective. That's just the way that it is. We don't go and ask somebody, "Hey, are you lightheaded right now?" "Oh, you are." "Okay, probably you were exposed to carbon monoxide." We don't go ask somebody, "How loud was it in that environment?" "Oh, okay, maybe you need to wear ear protection." We measure carbon monoxide. We measure noise. We measure dust. We measure everything else, and then we make educated decisions based on that. There's no reason fit testing should be any different.
I'm going to keep rocking and rolling through these questions, Laura, because
Yeah.
I'm loving it, and I see that
Can I
we're
stop sharing so I can see the questions as well?
yes. So
Yeah,
next one says, are you
absolutely.
willing
You're
to
welcome.
conduct a demo at our facility in Maryland? Number one, I am not, but someone is. And it says, what is the price? And there is no cost associated with coming to do a demo, right? Is
No,
that
in Maryland, we'll have Ryan Thompson come out and provide
trust me, you
you
want, you
a
prefer
demo.
Ryan?
He'd love to come out. Yes,
I'm an ornery traveler.
Ryan is awesome. I'm gonna keep going with these questions. Dylan, what comes with the AeroFit unit? And do I have to buy all the other accessories?
Great question. When you buy the AeroFit unit, it comes with everything you need to conduct 500 fit tests on N95 respirators or any filtering face piece respirator. The only accessories that you would need to buy to be able to conduct fit testing would be adapters for your elastomeric respirators. OHD has a unique adapter system, or if you have adapters from other fit test machines, other CNC fit test machines, you can just continue using those ones. Nothing's changed about the size of our tubing. So the answer is it comes with push nuts and probes. It comes with a probing tool. It comes with 10 2-ounce bottles of isopropyl alcohol. It comes with everything you need to be able to fit test. You'll have to buy those accessories or those consumables as you go, as you own the unit. But typically, there's enough there for about a year of fit testing.
That sounds good. And there was a related question that I think that goes along with this is, do I have to use OHD's alcohol or can it be bought elsewhere? And I think you kind of answered it there, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, you can. We didn't patent any alcohol. We use isopropyl alcohol. I will tell you when you source alcohol other places, make sure that it's reagent grade isopropyl alcohol. If you are going down to CVS and buying alcohol off the shelf at CVS, there's a ton of impurities in that, and you're not going to be able to see particles very well.
That sounds great.
Price of the
Giannis asks, what level of training and competency is required for individuals conducting fit testing? And does your program provide operation certification or refresher requirements? Stephanie and Dylan, I think both of you are great to answer this one. I know Stephanie's really passionate about this one.
Well, so with OSHA, it's very vague about what your requirement is, right? Like it just needs to be a qualified operator. But because more broadly, some of the other regulations require a lot more, we do offer training, and we have a very basic level course that just ensures that you know how to use the actual machine. And then we also offer OHD Academy, which is going to kind of take you a step above that, so that you can feel really confident and jump back in so that you can refresh yourself. That's something else you could also continue use of OHD Academy if you wanted to, but there is a charge associated with that. Dylan, do you have anything to add there?
No, I think you nailed that one. And get on to the next one.
That sounds great. Hey, going back a little bit, Dylan, I think that we can have some clarification for our friend Reno. Not sure what you meant by able to do 500 tests. What do you need to do more? I could be required to do 2,000 a year.
Yeah, so to do more tests, all you would need is more push nuts and probe. That's a good question. Sorry, I was a little vague on that. The unit comes with everything you need to fit test. It also comes with 500 push nuts and probes. So if you needed to do 2,000 fit tests, you would need to buy an additional 1,500 push nuts and probes. You might need a little bit more alcohol depending on how many hours a day the unit is running. But it's just the push nuts and probes that you would need to buy more of.
That sounds great. And then we've got from Grant, who apparently has a QuantiFit 2. Awesome, Grant. Are the adapters the same for AeroFit as a QuantiFit 2?
I wish. So they are not. It is a different technology. There's a different path to grabbing the sample. We only, with your QuantaFit 2, you're going to have 3 tubes that connect to your respirator. With AeroFit, you're just going to have 1 tube that connects to the respirator to count particles inside the respirator. The other tube of the twin tubing is actually left outside the respirator to count ambient.
We also had a question, is calibration included in the price or is there an additional fee?
So calibration, you get a calibration when you receive the unit. After that, there's an annual calibration that is required. OHD does offer have different offerings where you can just pay for it annually and go about it annually, or you can purchase a package, I think we offer up to like a 10-year package, so you can actually purchase all the calibrations for the life of your unit. If you decide 1 year you're going to calibrate it, on an annual basis, and then you say, hey, actually, I want to buy that 5-year package because it's a better deal. Well, you can come back to us and you can purchase it the next year. So you do have to do the annual calibration, but it does come calibrated. I see one question about too few or too many particles that I wanted to address. This is the beauty of particle generation management. You don't need to know if there's too few or too many particles. That's what we take on with this. We make sure that the environment is correct. Now, if there are too many particles, the unit will tell you you have too many particles. If you go into a firehouse where somebody has been cooking bacon or something, you're going to see way too many particles. But for the most part, that particle generation manages that environment for you.
That's awesome. Yes. Very cool. Brad asked, can the AeroFit do both full face and N95?
Yes, absolutely. Any respirator.
Perfect.
Comment on Kent, shout out, I do think he should change his title to Senior Technical Market Development and On-Site Customer Support Territory Representative. And I feel like OHD would be really supportive of title changes in that direction.
I think, the more words, the fancier you are. As referenced to all 3 of you. Scott asked, how would I travel with this equipment? I'm wondering about checking the alcohol through a TSA at airports. Good question.
Good question. So that becomes a little bit difficult. One thing is the size of the packaging. So because they're in 2-ounce bottles, it would be unlikely that it would be checked. You could check it in your baggage. Typically, if you're traveling with the unit, the recommendation is to just send those bottles to where you're going to mail them to where you're going to, FedEx, UPS, or whatever. And because they're in those smaller bottles, they don't require hazmat shipping.
Nice.
Now, I do have a question. This is just for me, because when we traveled, we actually didn't take any alcohol, which was a mistake, and had to source it there, which was a problem. But can you just check alcohol in the case, and then, or no?
That's a good question. I want to review legislation before I say yes or no to
Yeah, no,
that.
that's fair.
But I that can be in a follow-up email. I can do a little deep dive on that.
That's great. Stephanie, I'm gonna throw this one to you because this one surprised me a little. Francois asked, is it possible to create our own protocols specifically for R&D purposes?
You should get in touch with me directly, but technically, yes.
Interesting. Wait, I want to know more about that later too. Okay, sorry.
It's a hidden menu. You have to have more words in your time.
I do. I'm getting Felipe asked, do you have any kind of educational or guided presentations? And in your experience, what kind of service providers do we need to contact to open the market? I'm not sure about this question.
I have
anyone?
We have some educational materials for sure. I don't know about the second part. Dylan, do you know about
what kind of service providers we need to contact to open the market? I guess I don't understand the question. I think what you're asking is if you're a contract fit tester, who would you go look for business with? And I would tell you anybody who's in manufacturing. If you're in the sales aspect of this and you're looking for service providers, I would look for OCMED or occupational health providers. That would be the easy part there. I do see some questions. I'm going to just address this because I see multiple questions on this. I see questions on price. Anybody that has questions on price, we'd love to we'll send you pricing in a quote. The quote doesn't require anything more than an email, and I'm not going to harass you about it, but we will send those, any pricing information. Please reach out and we can send it to you in a quote.
That sounds good. Let's see. One person did say that the AeroFit comes in a Pelican case that you can check as baggage. And that is.
I just saw that too.
I also see that there's a question about if you've already got QuantiFit 2s and you're potentially wanting to upgrade to an AeroFit because you do N95s and we couldn't do N95s before. That's a great question. We're kind of going through that on a case by case scenario. Do us a favor and reach out to us and we can start the conversation and figure out how we can get you upgraded.
I know that you just talked about the AeroFit price. I saw another question here that's like AeroFit versus QuantiFit 2. And QuantiFit 2 is less expensive. I mean, obviously, because it doesn't test the filtering face piece respirators. And again, you'd have to write to get a quote. I actually have no idea how much they cost, but you would have to write someone to get a quote. And then I see Grant asking about swap or upgrading. I know we do have a trade-in program.
Yeah, we do. Get in touch with us, Grant, and whoever you worked with on your QuantiFit 2s, and we can we'll look at every situation is a little bit unique, and we don't want to create something that is, you know, holding anybody back. So we've said we're going to handle each one of these situations on a case by case. Stephanie, I have to jump to ISRP.
I know. I was like, we're 2 minutes late.
Thank you everybody for your time. Thank you for your time today. I really appreciate everybody sitting here listening to what we have to offer. This is something we're all super passionate about at OHD, and we look forward to working with you and having more conversations in the future. If you have any direct questions for me, you can maybe message Laura, and she's welcome to give out my email to anybody that can email me directly.
And if you message me,
you can
I'll
always
give you
email
cell phone number. I'm just
you can always email sales@OHD Global, reach us on our website. Last question, Brad, yes, QuantiFit 2 and AeroFit are Bluetooth compatible. Yes. We appreciate everybody's time. I will be sending out a recording. If you need to reach anyone, it's sales@OHD Global or ohdglobal.com. So thanks so much, everyone, for joining.
Thank you all. Have a great day.